All right, here we go. More multiplication with area models. So you should have your Thursday paper and the back of a graph paper with no squares in it, because we're imagining the squares. We have to keep practicing this imagination of the squares. And then we have our multiplication chart to help us with these answers. We've got some bigger numbers, and we want, some of them we're going to know we're not even going to have a picture. It's going to be a piece of cake. But others we're not, and we're going to need to look at our chart, and we need to be ready to use our chart quickly when we don't have them memorized. So number 1 right here, 8 times 6. Turn this the other way. Okay, here we go. So number 1, I have 8 rows of 6. So you see my rectangle is much smaller today. There we go. So I have 8 rows of 6. 8 times 6. This side is longer than this side, but I'm not going to be as worried about it as I was yesterday. But I do want this side, 8, to be longer than 6. Okay? Grab your chart. Have your chart ready so that you can just turn. I'm moving mine in and out because of the cameras, but you can just have your chart off to the side with your papers so that you're ready to just to use it quickly. 8 times 6. So just like your picture, see how the 8 is on the left side of your rectangle? 8 is on the left side of our multiplication chart. And just like the 6 is at the top of the rectangle, the 6 is at the top of our multiplication chart. So even though it is commutative property and we could flip it and have 6 times 8 and still find our answer, I do want you to practice mimicking your rectangle, because when we get into division and fractions, it's going to be important which way you do it, even though right now for multiplication it's not as crucial, but it's good practice. So 8 times 6, there's our answer, 48. "48 squares that we're imagining." Okay, now I don't want you to do this, but I want you to watch why I don't want you to try and put all these squares in. And I've seen so many kids do this. They're like, oh, I don't want to use my chart, or I don't have my chart, or I don't want to count. I'm just going to draw it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they start trying to count all these little tiny squares. And somebody is making a whole lot of noise here. I think it's Ian. While you were messing with your headphones, that was making a lot of noise. Okay, here we go. So you look, and what happens is you don't really have 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because if you make 8 lines, you end up with 9 rows. So to get 8 rows, you need to make 7 lines. So there's another confusing factor. So the same thing is going to happen up at top, on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I drew 6 lines, so that gave me 7 columns. And that's not what I want either. So now I'm getting a totally different number. Not to mention those squares are so small, I'm not going to count them and get them right. I'm going to make a mistake somewhere. Okay, so that's why we're not doing this. We're working our way towards memorizing all of our multiplication charts, and the ones we don't have memorized, we use this. We use this to make sure that we get it right. So I don't want you doing what I just did with those lines to try and figure out the squares. Okay? We got to learn, we're going to do it different. Or without it. Not different, but without it. Okay, so here we go. Number 2. 5 times 6. 5 is going to be shorter, a little bit shorter than 6. 5 rows of 6. Finish the rectangle. Write your sentence. Find your answer. 5 times 6. 30. Number 3. 2 times 6. 2 times 6. Now, I know that you probably have this one memorized, but I definitely want to see your rectangle, and it should be long and skinny and horizontal because 2 is much less than 6. This is one where we could do the squares, but you really don't need to because you probably already know what 2 times 6 is, and if not, you're going to use your chart. There's your answer right there. 2 times 6 is 12. Our sentence, 2 times 6 equals 12 squares to fill up this area. I'm using these words for a reason. Area, fill the area of this rectangle. Area comes up a lot. It's like, what is area? Area is the space inside the rectangle. How many squares does it take to fill the area? I'm sorry, say that again?
I said that's why it's called area.
That's why it's called area, yes. Because you want to know how many squares it takes to fill this area. And all the, the area can be different sizes. So, now look at number 4. Can I draw number 4? No, it's 0 6s. I don't have anything. There's nothing to draw. Our answer is 0. Can't draw 0 6s. All right, number 5. So I'm not even going to have anything on here for number 4. I'm going to go right to number 5. 5 times 7. So again, 5 rows and 7 is going to be a bit longer. Still a rectangle. Both numbers are different. No squares yet. 5 times 7. Here we go. 5 times 7. 35. 35 squares. Number 6. 8 times 7. Ooh, that's a big one. A little bit bigger. There's our rectangle. 8 rows, 7 columns. 8 times 7. Eight rows, 7 columns. 8 times 7 is 56. Number 7, 2 times 7. So this is going to look very similar to 2 times 6. It's going to be long and skinny. So 2 times 7. 14. 14 squares to fill this area. All right, look at number 8. 0 7s. We have 0 7s. If we have 0 7s, how many squares do we have?
0.
0. All right, now look at number 9. 9 times 6. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead. I want you to try some on your own. So put a number 9 on your paper. Draw your rectangle. Label your rectangle. Put the 9 on the left.
I did it.
And the 6 on top. Use your multiplication chart. Find 9 times, don't say the answer please. Find 9 times 6.
I didn't have.
Put your answer on your picture and then put your answer on your paper. When you're done, you can go on to number 10. 7 times 7. So draw your rectangle. 7 rows. Actually, wait a minute. 7 times 7. 7 rows with 7 in each row. It's not, well, it is technically a rectangle, but there's another special name for it.
Square?
It's a square. That's right, because all 4 sides are the same length. So it is a square. Good job. So we finally got a square. Then use your chart to find what 7 times 7 equals. And when you're done, you can go on to number 11. This is what you're going to continue to do for your homework. You're going to go all the way down to section B. I want you to keep drawing the pictures, just like we've been doing, using your multiplication chart to find your answers. If you don't have your multiplication chart, I put one on formative. You can look at the list and find the multiplication charts 1 to 10. There's nothing to submit. It's just a picture of the chart. You can also easily Google a multiplication chart if you need to, just so that you can have something to look at. And then next week we will make another one on graph paper, just so that you have the practice of making it again. We won't take as much time. We'll do it much quicker. Okay, so that's your math for today.